We've embarked on a journey to win the 5 major club competitions from around the world in one single save game. It's called the Pentagon. Our 11 seasons so far have seen us conquer Asia, Africa, and North America. And so today, we're off to South America. I've got a job with a team that have never won the Copa Libertadores. And in fact, they've never actually even won the Serie A in Brazil where they play. Oh, and also actually, they're currently in the relegation zone. But don't worry, because I've got a plan. And that plan is to rely on the youth. Come on. Welcome to Brazil in our Pentagon Challenge. And more specifically, welcome to Esports Club Vitória. Vitória are our next team in our Pentagon Challenge. And they are a Brazilian team based in Salvador in Bahia. On my search for a team in South America, I was looking for a team that would be a challenge. It wouldn't be overly easy just to go and win the Copa Libertadores, but could still present a few opportunities to have fun. And because of this, I thought Brazil would be the right place to go. Brazil is a place that I always kind of want to go and manage in. And then I actually thought about how the league works here in Brazil, and I've come up with a little bit of a plan. Now, Vitória, I think, are going to be the perfect team for that. They're actually struggling quite a lot at the moment, which is why they've sacked their manager. They're currently just in the relegation zone, but they do have a few games in hand. So I'm hoping we can steer ourselves clear of that in the not too distant future. But I really think there's an opportunity to rebuild this team and almost start again by focusing on youth. Now, the reason that I say that is, as I mentioned before, the structure of the Brazilian season. Now, in Brazil, if you've ever managed there, you will say one thing. There's a lot of games to go and play. And that is because we have the Serie A, which is the sort of the main part of the season. It's like the Premier League of Brazil. And then before that, they have their local state championships. So we take part in the Bahia state championships, which is usually dominated by Bahia, the club. They win it most years, although Vitória themselves do chip in with a few wins. If I have a look at historically here, look, you see it's either Vitória or Bahia, or a couple of times here, Atlético de Alagoinhas. That's definitely not how you say that, but I gave it a good go. And remember, that's what's important here. But the rest of the teams aren't very good. Now, Vitória actually won it this year. They got themselves 27 points. They won all 9 games. And this, for some in Brazil, can be a little bit of an annoyance, really. It's kind of like pointless games, although you do get to go and win some competitions and things. For me, I've decided it's going to be an opportunity. Because in these games, because they're quite easy, I feel like we can play young players. And if you play young players, you can start to develop some wonder kids. And we're better in the world to develop wonder kids than Brazil. Do you see my thinking here? Today, we're going to do a bit of a youth challenge as part of our Pentagon. Now, I'm not going to make it completely restrictive and say we can only sign youth players or we have to develop our intake players or anything like that. But I want there to be a big focus on youth players. So I'm going to go and first of all finish off this season and try and avoid relegation. And then in the transfer window, which I was going to say the summer transfer window, it's actually the winter transfer window because it's over November, December. I think it goes until March actually of the following year. I'm going to go and try and recruit the best young Brazilian players to bring into this team and then go from there. I've also decided on this system here based on the players that are currently at the club and also because I want to mix things up a little bit and go for some fun things. And I've played this type of shape before. It may have been wonky in a slightly different way, but something similar to this, which is sort of like a 4-2-3-1, really. I'm going to go with something like this until the end of the season. Then we'll go full on straight in with the recruitment stuff. I have had a look at a few of the players as well, and some of them are really good. This Anibio is a fantastic prospect at right back. He's a wonder kid already there. So we'll need to try and keep hold of him. We've also got a decent striker in Alexandro too, who has scored 35 goals in 73 games. So we know we've got a goal scorer. We know we've got a great wonder kid. This Willian looks really good as well. He's only 21. Not a wonder kid, but great physicals. He'll be an asset too. Another one to keep hold of. So like I say, I think we've got the basis of a good team, but they're struggling at the moment. They need someone to turn them around. That's going to be us. Let's go and finish this season that we've inherited, and then we'll get into some transfers. Oh, and before that though, a word about the sponsor of today's video. And today's video is once again sponsored by the lovely people over at Surprise Shirts. For me, Surprise Shirts are the best mystery box shirt company in the entire world. Not only because they will send you authentic, brilliant football shirts from around the world, but because it can be more specifically for you guys. That's because they offer an FM edition box, which means any shirt that you receive will definitely be playable in the base game of FM24. So if you're doing a Pentagon save like me and you want some inspiration for which team to go and try and manage next, or if you just want a mystery box to choose your next save, Surprise Shirts, in my opinion, are the company to go with. It's super easy to order and the website is great. It even includes this little obscurity slider look, which means that you can really tailor the type of shirt that you want to receive. This Porto third shirt from this season that I received would have come from selecting Play It Safer on that slider. If you want 10% off your order, you can use the code Clayts10 at checkout. And right now there's currently a promotion as well for Easter, meaning until the 21st of April, all order numbers ending in 0 or 5 will win a free bonus surprise shirt box. And every order also includes some mini eggs and a 10% off code for your next order. And if you really love football shirts, you can go one step further and become a subscriber at Surprise Shirts, which means you get a shirt a month as well as a load of other benefits. It all sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Oh, and by the way, what do we think about aiming for the Porto job for the final leg of our Pentagon now? I see what you're going for, Surprise Shirts. Anyway, back to our adventure. Okay, so here we are then at the end of the season. We've actually we've just finished our season, although other teams haven't finished theirs. In Brazil, they don't all finish at the same time, which is just a little bit odd. Imagine like you're going for the title and then you have to wait for other teams to finish. Maybe that's because of other competitions going on. I don't know. Either way, we've finished our season and we will finish probably 12th going by this. I don't think... Yeah, 12th. The teams below us can't catch us. We've finished basically where we've been predicted to finish. I know we were in the relegation zone when we took over, but the team isn't that bad. If I go to the season preview here, look, we are predicted to finish 14th. We finished 12th. It's about right. Now, I do still think this is going to be a real challenge. I know lots of you will be saying, go for a team in Uruguay and make it a real challenge, or Chile, etc., etc. However, I do think challenging the teams at the top of Brazil and some of those big teams in Argentina, River Plate, Boca Juniors, and then Flamengo and Sao Paulo, to try and beat those guys to the Copa Libertadores is going to be a challenge regardless, especially with some of the budgets that those teams have. Just as a bit of a comparison, Flamengo have got 428 million as their estimated value as a club, whereas ours is 64 million. Now, I know that isn't minuscule and it is certainly possible, and I'm hoping it is going to be possible in today's video. And I think I'm going to make it more so of a challenge by instilling a little bit of a rule to try and focus on mainly homegrown players, mainly domestic players, I should say, Brazilian players, and certainly trying to focus on youth as much as possible without making it a hard, definite rule. Because I actually think then it just becomes restrictive rather than organic in a way. So that's what we're going to be doing now that we're safe, now that we know where we stand. These were the results of the rest of the season. You see there's a few wins in there. We took over in July, so I think our first game was this Palmeiras game, which we drew. We actually went unbeaten for quite a long time, look, even managing to go through in the Copa Sud America. Now think of the Copa Sud America as the Europa League in Europe. It is the secondary continental competition. We actually went through to the quarterfinals here, where we eventually lost to Lanús of Argentina. A bit of a shame. It would be nice to win that competition. Maybe next year, actually, because we are going to be in it again next season because we've finished 12th. Now, the top 13 teams qualify for the continental competition in South America. I was going to say for Europe, but it's not, you know what I mean? You wouldn't say that here, would you? The top 13 teams qualify for South America. Doesn't sound quite right, but you know what I mean. It does give ourselves a chance to maybe win a trophy along the way, though, for next season. Maybe start to bed in some of our new signings, which is what I'm going to go and do next. After that really good start, we did lose 4 on the bounce and went out of that Copa Sud America. We then went unbeaten for 3, lost 1, won a couple of games, lost 3 in a row, then won 3 in a row to finish up towards the end. We were pretty safe where we were. Look, it's a 5-point gap. Although they do have a game in hand, Coritiba. It's nice to have finished in this top 13 to have that European competition. We are actually, reputation-wise, a continental team as well. So I'm hoping it should mean we should be able to attract decent players to come and join us. One other thing that I know that you're probably asking as well is, when did I leave Chicago Fire? Did I go and win that MLS trophy, that MLS Cup? No is the answer, because we left them in July. Chicago Fire, we hadn't finished that season. After winning the Champions League here, look, we've jumped ship basically to Vitória. Chicago Fire have done brilliantly. They actually did go on to become champions. 25 wins from their 34 games. So we were looking like they've won the Supporters' Shield. Did they win the actual MLS overall? Where do I even see the overall who won the MLS? It says Holder Sporting Kansas. Has that been decided yet? That's 2032. So no is the answer. They're in the final. They play Atlanta United. Can I view that? I should go to that, shouldn't I, and see my team. What team are they playing there? By the way, at the end of the Pentagon, we'll definitely do a video where we go and have a look at how all of our old teams have done, check in with all of our main players that we've grown to know and love. I mean, looking at this team, some of the names in here, I know we're kind of flying through the journey, but I'm hoping that you're still picking up on a few of the names that are just like, I've started calling them save heroes, and I'm going to make a short list that we can really keep an eye on them. But players like Chukwuemeka Matthew, of course, he's like the poster boy for save heroes, isn't he? He is actually wanted by Vancouver Whitecaps, Al Fire, and St. Louis City. Interesting. If he leaves, I don't think he's going to be interested in coming to Brazil. He's not under any circumstances. So I can't go and sign our save heroes yet, but like Kobayashi, Azaf, maybe. He might be interested. He's 27, so that would go against our youth thing, but could be a fun signing because he's Brazilian, bringing him back home, etc. Same with Wellington Macy. Same with Hudson, actually, and Leonardo. And Leonardo's here. And by the way, actually, I should show you. I did actually loan Leonardo to come and play for us for the second half of that season. I did do a bit of transfer stuff because in January you could make transfers. I have signed some players already to try and get us off the mark. One of them was Marcus Leonardo. He's now gone back. We paid 300k. He only scored 3 goals, although I think he was useful to have. We might try and bring him back again afterwards, but he's 31 and I don't actually think he's that good anymore. But some of the signings have been good. We've brought in another loan, Scolari, who played as a number 10 for us. He was pretty good. He's massive, which is why I like him. His loan does run out though, and he's 30, but he was useful for us. Next one though, I'm very excited about this one. A lot of people were quite upset with the small number of American players that I used in our MLS leg of the journey. I basically didn't sign any US players, which I understand the frustration of that, but the reason was in the MLS to sign American players is really expensive, and because of the international slots that I managed to get, it was cheaper and easier, better to sign international players. However, I have signed a quite amazing looking American to come and play for us in Brazil. Now, he fits the youth aspect that we're going for. He's only 20. He's got under 20 caps for the United States. I remember scouting him when we were at Chicago Fire. He scored, look, 79 goals in 93 games for the Dynamo Academy, Houston Dynamo Academy, which is pretty impressive. I'm hoping he can become a really good player for us. I was using him as a right winger at the end of for the second half of last season, just because we had decent strikers, Alexandro and then Leonardo, who came in. But he might end up being a striker for us in the long run, although maybe he could be a right winger. I'm not quite sure. He's only 20. He's very good, though. Got a lot of potential, according to our scouts here. And we signed him on a free transfer, which is quite cool. He's not even on that much wages, really, for a player of his caliber. So that's an exciting one. And then the last one, Patrick Goldan, another American. Now, these players were on free transfers because of the dates of the leagues. Their season was ending as ours was in the transfer window. So their contracts were expiring, so we could bring them in. Also, during scouting, I've got really good knowledge of the USA. So the players that are popping up and that I'm seeing, a lot of them are playing in the MLS, which is why I can see them. I actually might need to go and look at my scouting here and try and bring in some scouts from around the world. We've got some spaces. I do need to do a bit of staff admin. Our coaching isn't great and we haven't got many scouts, and our world knowledge isn't particularly good. A lot of our world knowledge, scouting knowledge, comes from where I've managed because of as a manager, my knowledge. So we get South African players, we get MLS players, etc. Patrick Goldan is another free transfer signing who looks pretty good, 20 years old. He's got really good value now he's come here. Physical's a bit low, but can definitely be a useful player in our midfield. And then from this point, I'm now going to go and do some proper transfer business to build on these guys. And I'll be back to tell you all about the team that we've built with a lot of detail, because I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of young players that will kind of keep around, that we're going to build and develop into the team that can eventually try and win this Copa Libertadores. That's my plan anyway. I'll go and do the business and I'll be back with an update. Oh, as well, I just need to mention, we also got this guy through our youth intake in September. His name is Leandro Drummond, and he might just be the future of our strike force if he develops. Now, some of the cons aren't great, like inconsistency, etc., but he's got 20 determination, driven personality, good acceleration, okay pace, and really good finishing. And the coaches seem pretty excited about him. So I've popped him straight into our first team. Haven't yet given him his debut, but if he kicks on just a little bit, I may actually use him quite a lot in the Bahia State Championship next year and just see if he could end up being a striker that we could actually build things around. Anyway, Leandro Drummond, very exciting. There were some other decent players in the youth intake as well. He was the main man, look, the elite talent. There was also Valdo, Mateus Gomez, who looked quite good as well. Oro, with a great name there, but is mainly Leandro Drummond. We got our intakes in September, so that is something to look out for every year as well. Anyway, let's get this transfer business done. Okay, welcome back. Welcome to the start of season number 2, where we have started our Bahia State Championship. Now, we did okay in the first couple of games. I actually lost to Bahia And this year it seems like it was away from home, which means we probably don't win the league phase of the Bahia State Championship. However, but after this, the top 4 teams go into a playoff, which is why they're blue on here. And then you find out who the winner is going to be based on that. So all is not lost, but it is a bit annoying that we're not going to win the league phase, because last year they did, Vitoria, win every single game in this competition. So that's one thing. We've done okay in other games. You will notice some of the names in here. Leandro Drummond, I have been using him basically as much as possible. He scored 4 goals here, look, in a 9-0 win against UNIRB. Now, they are pretty rubbish, and they've only got themselves 1 win so far in this Bahia State. Dochamal as well. I'm quite excited to play them because they are bottom, and I'm definitely going to play Leandro Drummond in this game and hope he can score lots of goals. But it's been a good start, and the youngsters are playing. You'll also notice there's a lot of new names on this list here. I have been extraordinarily busy in the transfer window. I have held a mass exodus of players and used those transfer funds to bring in quite a few new players. Now, our original budget was about £16 million, which is actually very healthy, more healthy than I thought it was going to be. And it has allowed us to do this. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to go through it in quite a lot of detail, because this, I'm hoping, as I mentioned before, is going to be the starting point of everything that we do in this segment of our journey. This is the team, hopefully the main players that we're going to build upon. Now, obviously, each year we will try and bring in a few players to make us better if needed. But I'm hoping that a few of these names that you're going to see that we're going to go through are going to still be in that team when eventually, hopefully, we lift that Copa Libertadores trophy. Let's start with some of the outs, because you don't know these players. We don't need to dwell on them too much, other than to say I have lost one of our main best players, Anibio, who I actually did show you before because he was our best player. He was a wonder kid right back. He's ended up going to Santos for £15.5 million. It was a release clause in his contract, so I couldn't actually do a lot about it. One thing to mention in Brazil is that every player has a domestic club's release clause. It has to be in their contract. Most of the good players have a ridiculously high one, like Anibio now has at Santos. Lots of players as well will insist upon having foreign clubs minimum fee release clauses as well. So just something to look out for. We're obviously not going to sign Anibio back on that type of money. We did lose him for £15 million. I also sold one of our defensive midfielders for £12 million. You can get good transfer fees if you have decent players here, is what I'm learning. Yunus Mefta is a good player. We've sold him to China. Shanghai Port still buying our players, which is something that happened quite a lot when we were Guangzhou, wasn't it? And then finally, also, I say finally, there's obviously a lot of players here. The big one that was the big loss really for me was Willian, another one that went on the release clause to foreign clubs this time. He's gone to Shabab Al Ahly in the United Arab Emirates. He's actually going to be playing there with Wesley. Do you remember Wesley from our time at Guangzhou? He was fantastic for us, wasn't he? He, though, maybe one day we could bring him back, although actually he's 29 and very expensive, so probably not, to be honest. So William, though, was brilliant, but they've put him on 91,000 a week. I can't really compete with that, can we? Other players out: Jose Claudio, Alexandro, the main goal scorer from last year, has gone. £4.4 million. He went to Vélez. That was my decision. I did decide to let him go based on some of the players that we'd brought in, really, to replace him. I thought we could do with the money, and he's a little bit older. He's 29, and like I say, we are going to try and focus on youth players if possible. And then there's just a lot of other players, a few loans, a few players went on freeze because their contracts ran out. Derek went to Cincinnati. He was a starting centre back, but he's 32, so I'm going to again bring that average age down a little bit. Calçade, Mazinho, you don't know these players, but just see that we brought in £59 million, which allowed us, with the money that we already had to spend a bit of money on some good players. Now let's go by value of player here. But in fact, let's go by prestige of player here. The big one, I think maybe our biggest one, is that Hudson has joined from Chicago Fire. I've actually brought in 3 players from our old team. Hudson, though, being the biggest name. Now, he was brilliant for us in the MLS. I've managed to bring him here for pretty big money, £5.75 million. It represents a good profit as well for Chicago Fire, so I feel okay about taking their players. They've just won the league. Did they win the MLS, actually? They did. Okay, they did win the MLS. I forgot to check that completely. They won that final against Atlanta United, which makes me feel good. We left them on such a high, which is a thing that I talked about previously, that I want to leave the club in a better state than I found them in, financially and obviously, hopefully, based on us winning lots of competitions, which does include, actually, if we were to try and jump ship to another team to try and win that trophy quicker. I think that might be more prevalent when we get to Europe, if we choose a team and then maybe a big team like City come along and tried to take us. I want to also make sure that any team that I leave behind is in a better state. This is the morally conscious Pentagon challenge. It's definitely not, because we've done some pretty shady things over the course of this save so far. But Chicago Fire wasn't one of those things. We left them in a really good state. I wonder how they're now going to cope with the lack of international spots for this season, though. I wonder how they're doing their second season. Is this currently ongoing? Now, they haven't kicked off yet. What's the exodus of players like? Hudson, Maciel, Azaf, all to us. Now, yeah, I know all about those because they are... yeah, I've bought those. This Jolson, by the way, is he the 5'4"? He's pretty good. I'm keeping an eye on him. He's gone on loan, but he's one that I actually wanted kind of to buy this summer, but I didn't in the end. He's gone on loan instead. They've brought in a few players. They didn't lose loads then. Did they lose many before that? No, don't think so. Mario Pinto went, but we knew about that before. Well, I knew about that before I left because I actually sold him. It was a release clause. He went to Damac. He's fantastic. Lee Jae Hong also went. That was after we left. That's a shame. He's a brilliant left back. He's actually so good, isn't he? He was wanted by like Premier League teams, and he's ended up going to Al Hazem. I guess a lot of these players that we buy do end up in Saudi, don't they? Okay, anyway, we digress. That is the catchphrase of this series. We digress. Let me show you the rest of these signings then. So Hudson is in. Hudson is a fantastic signing. He will play as our number 10 in this system where we do have this number 10 here. He's going to be that guy. We have spent £5.75 million on him. The biggest buy was actually a guy called Gu. He's a Brazilian 19-year-old defensive midfielder. Now, he's actually not a great tackler, so we are going to play him as a defensive midfielder on support, although really he's a playmaker that plays a bit deeper. That role of defensive midfielder in our team kind of does that anyway, but that's a slight issue, but I think he's good enough for that not to matter too much. But Gu comes in to play as our number 6. We have spent big money on him. £12.5 million. He came in a bit later after we'd made a bit more money, and I saw the opportunity and I thought, we're going to go for that. He's an under 23 international for Brazil at 19 years old. That tried and tested method of having a look at the international teams, the under 23s, under 21s, looking for players who are significantly younger, playing above their age group, is a great way to spot potential wonder kids. I'm hoping that Gu is going to become that. Is he listed as a wonder kid? He's not. He's 19, so I'm not even sure if he would be. He comes in though. We've gone for a centre-back called Lucas, who's a bit older, 27. This is my one experienced player. In fact, if I just show you on the team here by age, we've got a 28-year-old, 27-year-old. We've got a few 25s, but then everyone under this point here is under 22 years old, which I think is I think that shows that we are having a youth focus here. Now, there are a few players. Now, this Pedro's out on loan, so he doesn't count anyway. I have signed Thiago Azaf because he was our player, and I just wanted to bring back an old player of ours. And one of the 25-year-olds that we have brought in is only on loan as well. So I am definitely focusing on youth. But there's one or two in there. Davy Barbosa is the goalkeeper that was already here that we've inherited. I do want to go through all these players, but there's a lot of them to get through. I've signed a right back called Wilson. Fantastic, 19 years old. He is, I mean, just look at his attributes here. Now that I just went through the teams, found this guy at Sierra, and yeah, he looks really good. He's going to be our right back. Benjamin for £1.6 million is a young striker. He was also at Sierra when I checked them. Bashir Azodo is one of those players that just pops up when you're scouting that you're like, I don't know how we found him. He was at Rivers United in Nigeria. We've signed a few players from Nigeria. He is fantastic. I don't know what he is. Is he he's naturally a left wing back, can also play centre back. I don't think he looks like a centre back, but he's 6'3" and can jump. I don't think we need him for left back. So I've started to train him as a proper left back. And then I thought, actually, could he be a winger? So I've started training him as a winger. And I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but I'm going to see how he goes with it. I think he can play there. He's got the physicality for it. He can't really dribble though. But he was so cheap that I couldn't say no to signing him. Less than £1 million. He's now already valued at like 7.4, 9.2. So he comes in at under 20 international for Nigeria. Then I've also signed Wellington Maciel as a striker option for us. We had him at Chicago Fire, 500k for him. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but we didn't really, after losing Alexandro, we didn't have loads of strikers. So I've signed Maciel. I wanted to go and sign like a big proper striker. I actually wanted to sign Giovanni, the striker that we had at Sundowns, the Brazilian that was 6'6". He wasn't interested. He's at Fluminense now and is very expensive and we couldn't afford him. But he's kind of my dream striker to bring in this striker spot. There wasn't really anybody that took my fancy other than him. So instead I signed two. I signed Maciel and Thiago Azaf, who he also had at Chicago Fire. I've signed him on loan initially. We're going to sign him permanently afterwards. That was just because I didn't want to spend money right now, to be honest. Instead, it will come out of next year's budget. So the two of them together are going to be our strikers, with Leandro Drummond as the backup striker, our third choice striker. So rather than signing one really good striker, I kind of spread it across three for this year. I've signed a player from Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't think I signed this guy, although maybe I did. I can't remember if I did, but Yusuf Okechukwu is a Nigerian international. Did I sign him? That looks like a signing I would have done for 900k. I just don't remember doing it. I could probably check. Although now, does he? I'm not sure. Either way, he's now with us here at Vitória. He's a right back. He's actually a bit older, but again, super cheap for a player that is as good as he is. Nigerian international. He's just a good player. Probably not going to be the starter because our starter will be Wilson instead, but a good backup. I've basically built an entire team because I had to. That's with Anibio leaving. We needed a right back. I think I signed Okechukwu first. I think I signed him before the window opened, and then he came on the first day of the transfer window opening. And then I've signed Wilson a little bit more. In fact, I've only just signed Wilson. Yeah, so more recently, Wilson's come in on the 18th of February. The rest of the players are much cheaper, but I think they still can be important, particularly maybe for the future is kind of what I'm thinking here. I've gone for Carlos Gabriel as a left winger. Looks like a real prospect, if you ask me. He's got good attributes in the right place. He's only 17, good acceleration and pace, 5'6". He's probably not going to be starting this year. But I did play him in a few games in the state championship. That's why the state championship is so good, by the way, because the games are quite easy. I can play all of these young players that I've got and try and get them game time. And from doing that youth only save with Catanzaro, I know just how impactful playing games can actually be compared to just having them in your squad and just rotating them in every now and then. I want to play them a load so that they properly develop. He's going to be one of them. Drummond up front is going to be one of them. And some of these other players that we're bringing in that are young. Pacheco Ribeiro, young centre-back who I've brought in for, how much was he for? He's 17, brought in for 195k. Bougari Diabate, 190k. He is a foreign player. Now, you can actually have 8 foreign players, I think it is, in your squad at any time. So it's 7 or 8 in your squad at any time anyway. So I definitely don't have that many yet. So it's okay. Bougari Diabate, 190k though. He's another one that I think we can develop into a really good footballer. He's going to be our backup defensive midfielder, I think. Although I'm wondering if in the future he might be better suited to be our defensive midfielder because he can tackle a little bit better. I don't know, he's got a perfectionist personality as well. He's going to be fantastic, I think, in the future. I then brought in a young goalie. I found a couple of players at this Gremio team that isn't Gremio, it's a different Gremio team. They had a couple of good young players. Moises is the goalkeeper that I've brought in. He was the best of any Brazilian young goalkeeper that I could find, basically. He's wanted on a couple of loan already. He looks okay, and the coaches think he's got decent potential. So maybe playing him in a few games, as I've done here, can help him to develop. Because our other option in goal is Davy Barbosa, who is quite average, and he's 28. And for some reason, he's got this minimum fee release clause of £0 for domestic clubs, as well as a £21 million release clause for domestic clubs. I feel like it's bugged, and it was already like that when I joined, but we're going to lose him on a free at some point. It's just going to happen, isn't it? So I wanted to bring in a young Brazilian keeper to develop to become the number one. There wasn't loads about. That's one position I will keep looking at. There was one guy that I found called Daniel, I think it was. Is he going to pop up if I just search for Daniel? I'm not sure it is. We didn't sign him anyway, so I don't need to go and find Daniel now, but one to look out for the future. If he is then interested in coming, he wasn't interested in coming. If he is, maybe he could come in and be our goalkeeper. Keepers may be a position that we kind of need a bit of work, especially if we're going to go full in on this youth ethos that we're going for. Then finally, there is a left back called Tyler Edgar, Canadian, who is quite good. This is because of our knowledge of the MLS. He played for Toronto FC Academy. Really good. 20 determination and already at 18 looks like a really good left back. Could do with improving maybe his crossing, dribbling a little bit, but other than that, fantastic. So I'm going to be playing him, starting him. He's one of our other foreign players. And then finally, I've shown you Thiago Azaf, who's come in on the loan. Finally, a loan player because we didn't really have a really good right winger because of an injury to our main man, who the player who was going to play as our right winger, Ryan Davis, broke his foot. So he has developed a little bit as well, actually, looking at his attributes there. He broke his foot, so he's going to be out for at least 3 months from this point on here. He has played and scored a few goals. He actually started great. Scored 4 goals in his first 2 games in the Bahia State Championship. but we're not going to be able to use him. So instead, I brought in a loanee called Thiago Mascarenas, who looks quite good, actually. I'd like to be able to sign him permanently. We don't have an optional clause involved in his contract, but his value is only at 3 million. So I might actually sign him permanently, but he's not young is the reason that I haven't. He's 25 years old, so he's a bit of a stopgap because our young American right winger / striker has broken his foot. That's the team, though. It looks like this when you put it all together. Well, this is what the squad looks like at the moment in the Bahia State Championship. I'm playing the young players. So Moises in goal. I'm playing some of our young defenders. Ribeiro. We've got this guy called Alex, who's already at the club, who looks like he's got a bit of potential as well. Trying to give him game time to try and develop him a little bit further. We've got Tyler Edgar in at left back. Diabate plays, but Gu usually would play in there. Oh, Ever Rojas. I think I missed him when I was showing you him. He came in as well. I think I missed him in the list. He came in as a midfielder. He is a Paraguayan international. Only 19. Signing for, I think it was £1 million. £1 million, look. He's so good. Like, already good. I mean, he's listed as a wonder kid, and he's already this good. So, another one who's going to be probably our main midfielder in this Metzala role. But this is the squad. Now, a lot of these players may come out. I'm training Azodo as this left winger here. Look, when we bring in the main players, it will probably look a little bit more like this. And then Dave is probably in on that right-hand side. Something akin to this once all of the players are actually in their correct positions. I may even use Wellington Maciel as the left winger on this side. That's probably the first 11. But the entire team now has been built by me. Now, I know I spent ages going through this, but I feel like it is important. These players now, I'm going to try and take them to the top. Now, I'd like to replace players like Lucas and Azaf to bring in younger players for those guys. But other than that, it's a really young team of really good players that should get better. If I show you the potential here, look at the potential of all of our players. This is what I'm banking on trying to get them to. If you then compare it to the ability of the players, this is what I want to develop and turn this squad into actual challengers. What I'm going to go and do now is finish off this Bahia State Championship, hopefully go and win it, get ourselves ready to start the Serie A, and hopefully as well, by that point, we will have seen some development of the players because I'll keep playing all of these youngsters. I'll see you when we're ready to start the real business, our first proper season here in Brazil. Come on. All right, welcome to the 16th of April, where we have just played our first game in Serie A with our brand new team with this completely rebuilt squad. This was the team that took on, interestingly, our state rivals Bahia in the first Serie A game. We've won it 1-0, despite we didn't create a lot. We actually scored a first goal on 3 minutes, which was Hudson, the former Chicago fireman who plays as our number 10. Probably our best player, I want to go and say. He scored this goal. I'm not sure why we're behind the goal here. He scored this goal after it was crossed in. It came back to him. He hit it on the volley to give us the win. We didn't play great. They had more shots on target, bigger XG, but we held on with this 4-2-3-1 asymmetric thing that we are using. But a win is a win, and the positives don't stop there, because if I show you the team here, now this isn't quite the team that we just played. I think Wellington Maciel played up front, but I wanted to show you Leandro Drummond, our young striker, is definitely getting better. I've played him in a whole host of games in that state championship, and he scored a load of goals. Now, obviously, the games are quite easy. He got 15 in 12 games, though. If I show you the results here, look. I said I was looking forward to playing that Dose Mal team. We beat them 15-0. He scored 5. It's such a great opportunity to develop young players. No wonder there are so many young Brazilian wonder kids coming through. They play all of these games and get so much football. The development is just insane on some of the players. Leandro Drummond is a great example of that. I've given him the number 99 shirt. That's how confident I am that he's going to make it. At least I really hope he's going to. He scored goals already at 16 years old. He's become, by the way, our youngest ever goal scorer in the state championship, which is quite fun. Also, do you like the kits? I made some kits because I just couldn't find any Vittoria kits on the internet to load in. So I created my own one. So if you want them, I'll put them on the Patreon because they are quite cool. And I've really got into making all of my own kits at the moment. It's just a lot of fun. Maybe I'll make a video showing you how I go and do that, actually, as well as all the other little cosmetic stuff that I do. Anyway, we are off the mark in Serie A. This season, we are predicted to finish 11th. So a little bit of an improvement. But, I mean, we're not going to tear up any trees yet. These players, whilst I think they've got good potential, probably aren't quite there yet. Hudson actually makes the Dream 11, which is quite fun. He is our only player who makes the Dream 11. The other player is maybe Ever Rojas, who doesn't quite get in, but he can't be far off because he is actually really good. We're probably not going to win Serie A this year, but I am going to aim for Copa Libertadores qualification, I think. That would mean us finishing in the top 7. I think that's doable. I think we can finish in the top 7. I'd also love to go on a really good run in this Copa Sud Americana. We've been drawn in a group with Argentinos Juniors, Phoenix of Uruguay, Santiago Wanderers of Chile. I reckon we can get out of that group, and I actually think and hope we can go on a good run. Bahia actually won this 3 years ago, look. And we've just beaten them and beat them, by the way, to the state championship. I should have mentioned this one. We did finish second in the league phase, but in the final, we beat them over 2 legs. We've beaten Bahia so many times this year. Leandro Drummond actually started and scored. Also, Marcus Antonio is another youngster that I'm quite excited about. He came through our youth intake before I got here. He's now 17, plays as number 10, and I quite like him. He looks really good. He's played a lot of games. He scored 9 goals in 23 games, look, in that state championship. So high hopes for him as well. We won that final. We've added to our manager history. If we go to job history, we've added a new competition win for us, even though it does say we finished second, even though we won the whole competition. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? But we do have a new competition win. It's really annoying that we don't get the numbers popping up on here where we finished with Chicago Fire. The main thing, I suppose, though, is that we got that CONCACAF Champions League win in there. That's the main thing. Anyway, we digress. We're ready to go for this season. I'm aiming to finish in the top 7. I'm going to go and get about till halfway, I think, and I'll see you to let you know how this season is going. And at that halfway point, here we are. We are 8th at the halfway stage. 19 games played, so we're exactly halfway through, whereas other teams have actually played a few more games. Now, we're in a good position. Although we're not quite towards the top, we're not actually currently in those top 7 positions, which is where I wanted to finish. We do have games in hand. We've got 3 games in hand over Gremio, and if we win 2 of them, we'll be above them. So we have a good chance of putting ourselves into that top 7, which is very much where I'm aiming. In other competitions, to show you, we are doing okay. We have qualified from the Copa Sud Americana group. We were in Group B, I think it was. We won 4 of our games. We beat Phoenix home and away. We beat Santiago Wanderers 6-1 away, and then Argentinos Juniors 5-1 at home. We did draw to Wanderers, and we did lose to Argentinos Juniors after beating them by loads, but it's fine. We are through to the 2nd round, which means we skip the playoffs as well. We play Racing Club of Argentina next. Now, that will probably be a bit of a test, but I think and hope we can get through there. It'd be lovely to go on a bit of a cup run there, wouldn't it? In the league, though, these are our results so far. So after beating Bahia 1-0, we then had a lot of cup games in lots of different cup competitions that we did very well in, actually. For the first half of the season, we didn't lose a game here, look, until we lost to Sport Recife in one of the cup competitions, the Copa do Nordeste final, 2nd leg. We lost them 4-0 after beating them 3-0 in the first leg. So we should have had another bit of silverware to win there, but we absolutely bottled it and lost 4-0. I was going to say we had a red card, but we can't use that as an excuse because he got sent off in the 95th minute. I don't really know what happened. Well, I do know. We bottled it is what happened. Then it kind of put us on a bit of a bad run. We did win we did beat Phoenix, look, but then we lost to Bragantino. We then lost to Argentinos Juniors. And then we lost to Botafogo in the first leg of the 4th round in this Copa do Brazil 4th round. There's a lot of cup competitions is another thing that I'm learning. We then actually almost brought it back. We beat them 2-0 in the away leg and then lost on penalties. So we are out of that competition. And then results have been a bit more up and down since then. There's some good wins in there. We beat Corinthians. By the way, I should mention, Corinthians are green. I know that loads of you are going to be like, why are Corinthians green? It's a thing to do with my spineless multi-club save that we're doing on Twitch. They're one of our teams that we've sort of brought into the network. That's a long story, but just they're not usually green. They're green now. And it's just something you have to get used to, okay? Corinthians are now green. It's weird. I'm sorry. We beat them anyway. Then we lost to Sao Paulo, lost to Internacional. Then it went 3 games winning. It's a bit up and down. Most recently, we've just lost to Flamengo 3-1. Flamengo, who won it last year, aren't actually top. They're 3rd in the league. Botafogo are looking like they're going to win the league this year from nowhere, really. They haven't won it in forever, but they look like they might win it this year. It's usually Flamengo or Palmeiras, or maybe Sao Paulo once look in there, but otherwise it's mainly those 2 that win the league. And the big favourites were Flamengo won it last year, and then I think Sao Paulo were technically, according to the season preview, the favourites, right? It's actually now Palmeiras. It's changed a little bit. I still don't really feel like we're close to those guys, and this game here, losing to them 3-1, kind of confirms that. Although Ryan Davis is now back from his broken foot, so that is a lovely sign. He's going to continue playing probably as a right winger for us. I'll show you the stats of some of the players. Look, if I go to the team here, the numbers are a little bit misleading when you look at them because it does include some of those state championship games. And it looks like, I mean, basically everyone has played a whole load of games is kind of what you take from this. But main goal scorers, Hudson is fantastic in behind the striker. And then also Leandro Drummond, I have played him in quite a lot of Serie A games as well. He's got 26 goals. Those actually include, if I go to his form here, look, he's played the last 4 games in the league as well. Didn't actually score any goals in those games, but I am trying to include him, at least as a substitute, to try and keep him involved, to keep him developing, because I do really have high hopes for him. But Azaf's been our other main goal scorer with 16 goals. Mascarenas from the right-hand side has 13. Marcus Antonio got 10, but most of those were in the state championship. And Yusuf Okachukwu did damage his cruciate ligaments and has been out already for 4 months and has got 4 months left on his recovery still, so he won't be playing for quite a long time. So he won't be back for a while, so we've had to make do with really just one right back in Wilson, which has been a bit annoying. But I have been using Alex there and other players who can fill in, like Fayal can fill in a little bit. The team is good and the players are developing as well, which is what you want to see. Tyler Edgar's turning into a really good player. Gu really turning into a great player. Carlos Gabriel playing more games than I thought he would do this first season, but at 17 is turning into a really decent footballer. Right now, though, I guess I just go and continue. We've got the Copa Sud America second round to go and play, and then the rest of these Serie A games, there's not loads riding on it because I think sort of mid-table, 7th, 8th, if we could sneak into that top 7, it'd be glorious. But we're going to go and give it our best shot. I think I'm going to go and finish this season now. If we get to the Copa Sud Americana final, maybe you'll see that one. But if we don't, I'll see you at the end of the season. Okay, welcome to the end of the season and welcome to the Copa Sud Americana final, where guess who we played? Bahia. Now, I was going to do this one as a live com, and then it was Bahia, and I was like, I don't think we need to. We won the Copa Sud Americana in our first proper season, I'm going to call it here at Vitória. Season number 2. Goals from our youngsters as well, because I did play them. I'm committing to playing the youngsters. Carlos Gabriel scored 2 goals there that you've just seen. At the back post, Marcus Antonio scored 1 of the goals in it as well. These are both, I mean, he's 18, right? And Gabriel is also 18, only just turned 18 years old as well. And they are scoring winning goals in the Copa Total Sud Americana final. We are champions of another continental competition. Now, that doesn't count for our Pentagon, but it's still a glorious thing to have gone and won. And I'm kind of hoping that it qualifies us for the Copa Libertadores. Now, I actually can't seem to find it anywhere to confirm it, but a quick Google search does suggest that we will be in the Copa Libertadores next year, which is important because in the league, we finished 7th. And looking at this, it looks like the top 6 only qualify for the Copa Libertadores. So I'm kind of hoping that we are still going to be in it next year because of that competition win. And earlier in the season, it did show the top 7 teams qualifying for it. Now, obviously, that changes. There's a load of things that impact that. Coefficients and competition winners, etc., change how many teams qualify from each nation. I'm just kind of hoping, because I can find nothing in-game to actually confirm it, I'm hoping that next year we will be in that top competition, probably a little bit ahead of schedule if you think about where we've just finished in the league. The lads, though, are sensational. I love this team. We've got some real talents in this team and young talents that are only going to get better as well. Showing you some of the stats of some of the players on here. We've got a fantastic right back in Wilson. We've also got a really good young goalkeeper who played 42 games in the end. Look, 40 games from one keeper and 42 from the other keeper just shows you how many matches are in this season as a whole. That is an outrageous amount for 2 different keepers to have played. Look, Moises is injured at the moment, but he did play a lot of games and he's actually developing quite nicely, I think. If he reaches anywhere near his potential, I can see him becoming our number 1 keeper. At the moment, we've got Davi Barbosa, who's unhappy because he wants to start more games, look, although he has played the last few games because of the injury. Wilson, an amazing right back, only getting better as well. Wonder kid. Lucas, probably going to sell him if we get a good offer for him because he's got good value and he's 28 and he's wanted, but he scores a lot of headers with his 18 jumping reach. He got 26 over all competitions. He was actually one of our top goal scorers. Now, imagine also, by the way, some of you are like, oh, near post headers, blah, blah, blah. Most of these were actually in the Bahia State competition where we scored like 15 goals in a game. So like we won 15-0 here. He got a hat trick. That kind of shows it. He scored here, look. He scored a lot of goals. He scored 2 goals in this game here, look. He scored a lot of goals before the actual season kicked off. Another 2, look, in the cup competition there. But yeah, obviously he does score a lot of headers from corners. It's just a thing in Football Manager, isn't it? I haven't loaded in a specific corner tactic. It's just near post headers. And in Football Manager, it's just a thing, isn't it? Alex played alongside him. He's developing a lot. Tyler Edgar, great development on him. Really excited about how good of a player he can become. I'm shocked and astounded that he hasn't played any games for the Canadian youth teams yet at 19 years old. He's so good. Gu, also brilliant. He's wanted at the moment by Corinthians and Al Weda. So those Saudi teams are circling a little bit, but 63 games from him this year. Ever Rojas, what a player, only 20, should get better as well. Ryan Davis back from his injury, scored 20 goals playing right wing. Marcos Antonio, we looked at him. Bashir Azodo can play left wing now. What a weird footballer he is. Like, where would you play Bashir Azodo? Bearing in mind that I'm not trying to play a left wing back. Would you play him as a fullback? I mean, maybe, probably, but we've got a really good left back already is the problem. Like, that's why I've made him a wing back. A couple of times when I've been doing quick picks, they select him as the centre back. Do you reckon he could be a centre back? He's got the height and the physicality. And I mean, he's actually got good tackling, good marking, good he can kind of play anywhere, can't he? Very weird footballer, but very good. Very good footballer. I've been using him as a left winger because that's a position we didn't have loads of depth at. I've been using Carlos Gabriel there, who is actually developing really nicely as well himself at 18 years old. What I do need to go and do, by the way, is give new contracts to some of these players, because now that they're quite good, 700,000 could be something that one of the teams in this league might want to go and buy him for, but their release clause amounts are restricted by how much wage you give them. So if I give him a new contract now on a higher wage, I can then make his domestic release clause much higher at about 33 million, which is actually, I think, something that I'm going to go and do here. So see, look, if I take his wage down to like 4k, the max that I can put his release clause goes down as well. So maybe something like, I mean, I might as well put that back up now. Something like that to get him protected for the future, for example. I might need to go and do that on a few of our other players as well. Overall, though, an amazing first season with really great development of some of these players here. They are turning into the players that I'm hoping that they were going to go and become. We've also been given our new budgets for next season now. £7 million to go and spend with a bit of wage budget. Some of that money will go on Thiago Azaf, who we've already confirmed will be joining permanently. But I'm going to go and continue to build. I wonder if we'll get any big bids for a few of our players, because over the course of the season, a few of them have been wanted. Gu at the moment is the one that is attracting interest. Also, by the way, Hudson picked up an injury. He damaged his cruciate ligaments and has been out for 4 months. So that was a real loss, but it didn't really affect us. We still went and won that Copa Sud Americana and still finished in a decent position in the league. I'm going to go and do a transfer window now, and I'll see you ready for season number 3. All right then, welcome to season number 3, where I bring you some bad news to begin with. We've actually lost the Bahia State Championship. I've lost the final to them over 2 legs 5-1. We actually lost the second leg 1-0. Before that, we lost 4-1 to them. So I don't really know what happened here. I did commit to using the youngsters, so I maybe have cost us the Bahia State Championship a little bit like that. After once again being pretty good in the league, we won every game except for one where we lost to Bahia. They've actually got our number this year. Maybe it's a little bit of revenge for beating them in the Copa Sud Americana final previously, but they've won it this year. Fair play to them after 2 years of not winning it. However, overall, I'm still pretty happy with the way that this side is looking. We are now in April. I've gone from the end of last season. I've gone entirely through the winter transfer window start. I've gone all the way through the Bahia State Championship, as you've just seen. And we have just started our Serie A campaign for our 3rd season at the club. We actually drew this game. It was against International and we drew 2-2. You'll see Leandro Drummond leading the line for us. I maybe shouldn't be committing to him quite as much as I am. Likewise for a few of the other youth players. But I kind of think we are going to maybe suffer a little bit more now results-wise to hopefully see the payoff of it in a couple of seasons' time. That's my thinking, that's my theory, that's my game plan here, is really properly investing in youth, not just in terms of transfer budget investing into youth, but the time and the match time in those youth players too. I mean, it's sort of rewarded here. It was a 2-2 draw against International in our first game of the season. Leandro Drummond scored the opening goal. Look, Rojas down the right-hand side. Drummond pops it in to go 1-0 up. Before then, they equalise with this little tap in at the near post. They're very similar, actually, in terms of goal, wasn't it? We then took the lead again in the second half. Another youngster, look, with this goal. Sanchez, who is a player that I'll introduce you to in a second. Carlos Gabriel, look, picks it up, smashes it in with his left foot. He's been a real surprise package, actually. I thought he was good when, I mean, look at that. Look at that. I mean, that is, if there's a reason to sell a player, Ribeiro should probably be sold after that, but he's actually quite good, and he's been quite good, but that is just horrendous to give away, basically give away the win there, wasn't it? It was in the 86th minute, then he gets himself booked right at the end there. But Carlos Gabriel, as I mentioned, has been a real surprise package. After I gave him a new contract, he's now up to about £11 million in value. He's actually got Arsenal looking at him, wanting to sign him. He doesn't have a foreign club release clause, so we could, if they were to try and sign him, try and get really big money for him, but even more ideally, try and keep hold of him, because that tells me that if teams like Arsenal are circling your players, you know that they've got a certain amount of pedigree. Because those teams, those AI teams, they know what to look for a player that has really high potential. So I'm hoping that his potential is actually really high. And this team is a team that will grow into a team that will properly challenge at the very top. Hudson still here, Drummond, Davies. Let me show you the team right now then with one or two new incoming players. One big incoming player is at the back here, Luis Claudio, and I've got very high hopes for him. He's going to replace Lucas. Now, Lucas has left. I'll show you that in a second. But this guy right here, I think, is an even better centre-back to be able to bring in. He is a wonder kid. He's got good jumping reach, but it's not quite as crazy as Lucas's was. So he's probably not going to score 26 goals or whatever it was that Lucas got. But under 23 international for Brazil at 18 years old. He was playing for Cruzeiro. He's only 18 years old, and look how much football he's already played for them. This was actually this season. So last year he played 37 games. I wonder if that's in their state championship a little bit as well. Possibly, of course. And he was actually in Serie B the year before, but he's played a lot of football at 18. And I think he's going to be really, really good for us. Already got a massive value. We bought him for £7 million. Basically reinvesting the money that we got for selling the slightly older player, which was the slightly older Lucas. Now, I had a bit of a gripe with him. I signed him and then he was in our team. He was really good, but he was old. He was 27, 28, and it kind of didn't sit right with me. So I have sold him. He wanted to go and he's gone to Al Weda for £9.5 million. We've actually made a profit on him anyway. It was actually, okay, so it changes on here. In the Serie A, he scored 13 goals. It must have been 13 goals in the state championship before. This kind of updates, I think, a little bit. I think I noticed that on Leandro Drummond's profile. It is a bit confusing, though, because it doesn't count. Like, we've got league and cup, but 13 goals there. It's a bit difficult to decipher which ones count as state championship games and which one count as Serie A games, but I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, he's off to Saudi Arabia. He was the one sale before the tick over. I don't think I brought in any other players except for the permanent signing of Thiago Azaf for 2.2 million. And then it's been quite a quiet summer, as I was hoping it would be, actually. We've spent the original transfer budget of about £7 million, plus that little bit of extra for selling on Lucas. I've brought in 3 players. One of them is Luis Claudio that I've just shown you. One of them is Fulvio, 1.7 million for he's going to be a backup midfielder, I think, but he's also pretty good. His value's gone way up as well, which is quite nice. Under 20 international for Brazil. Probably going to play him as our Metzala backup for Ever Rojas is my plan. But he's already played 3 games and scored a couple of goals. Look, for £1.7 million coming from Londrina in Serie B. We played 50 games for them last year, look. He is going to be a useful player for us. Probably not a starter, though. And then finally, we're a little bit lacking in centre-backs because, of course, Lucas going, but also Fernando Feao I did sell as well for 59k. He was one of our backup centre-backs last year. So I've signed a different backup in Gustavo Sanchez. Argentinian, only 19 years old, going to be a solid backup for us. The coaches don't seem to think he's got as much potential as some of the other players, but I think even right now could be a useful backup player for us, and he's happy to be a squad player too. So he comes in. That's actually all of our business for this year. The squad's going to look a little bit like this. Now, I will, of course, rotate a lot of these players, and players like Gabriel might start a few more games. Okachukwu, back from his injury, is really good. Hudson, back from his injury as well. Now, they are tired, but we have literally just played a game today, which is why they are as tired as they are. So I will rest them up and they'll be ready to go next time. But I'm looking forward to this. We've got ourselves a draw away from home first day of the season. I actually think we can go and do big things here. I want to go and finish a lot closer to the top of this league table now that our players are developing and getting better. Season preview says 9th. We have, by the way, that's a big bit of news. We did qualify for the Copa Libertadores. I think it was because of us winning the Sud Americana that we've qualified, but we are in that competition for this year. We've actually started that competition already. We've got Group E. We have won a few games in it. This is our group for that. We've got Lanús of Argentina, Deportes of Peru, and finally Zamora of Venezuela. We've won 3 of our 4 games so far. We look pretty strong to go through. I'd like to top the group. I think then you skip that playoff round, a bit like the Champions League and a bit like the Sud Americana that we saw last season. That, though, is your squad roundup for season 3. Now is the time to go and play some games. And this is our first go at winning that Copa Libertadores, that South American Champions League. We could finish this leg of the Pentagon this season. Let's go and play some games and see how we get on. All right, we're about halfway through the season and we might not win it first season. We're in a bit of trouble. I mean, that we could still come back from this point here, but we did qualify from the group in the Copa Libertadores, and this now probably becomes our main focus, doesn't it? Trying to win this competition, because if we're in it, we might as well try and win it. We've gone through our group stage comfortably. We've then drawn Nacional of Uruguay in the next round, and they're actually quite good. We played them away from home and lost 2-1. They dominated us, which is why I'm feeling quite pessimistic about our chances in this second leg. They play this narrow diamond. This is the team that we played, look. We didn't really get going. We scored a goal from Sanchez, our sub centre-back, in the 81st minute to give us hope, but we were 2-0 down and being pretty comprehensively beaten, to be honest with you. We'll give it everything in the second leg, but it was a bit of a wake-up call to play a team from one of the other nations that are quite as good as they are. We also had another good test of that, actually. We played the European South American Club Challenge, which I believe I've worked out is the winner of the Europa League in Europe and the Copa Sud Americana in South America play each other in a type of Super Cup challenge. We played Dortmund and lost to them 3-2. We gave them a good game, actually. It was a winner in the end from Said Al-Mala, who scored the winning goal after... It was 2-2 on the 68th minute. We were 1-0 down, equalised, 2-1 down, equalised, and then they scored the winning goal in that game, which is quite fun. In the league, you see our results here, look, for an update. We are about halfway through the season. We played a little bit more than that, 21 games in. We're 6th. We're doing okay. 10 wins out of 21. It's what I'm seeing about this league is that it's quite forgiving at the top, in that teams do drop points to other teams, definitely. Even Sao Paulo, who are leading the league, have dropped points in 6 games in 20, which if you compare to teams like Bayern Munich and City, etc., in the Premier League and Bundesliga respectively, they don't drop that many points most of the time. So it maybe opens the door slightly to go and hopefully win this competition. It's not part of our Pentagon challenge, but you'd think if we're going to win the Copa Libertadores, we should probably be able to win the Serie A along the way, shouldn't we? I don't think we're a million miles away. Right now we are, what, 12 points off the top, which isn't a million miles off. It's 12 points to be precise, but... So we're not going to win it this year, but hopefully in the future we can get closer and actually go and do that. I think we can. The team then and the stats around them is something like this at the moment. We are seeing really good performances from Hudson in the centre as our number 10. He is at the moment, well, he has been for a while now, definitely our best player. He's actually wanted by Shanghai Ports. That they are always trying to buy our players, honestly. He is, though, a super number 10. He's got himself Brazil caps, 2 caps for the full national team at 23 years old. He actually should get a little bit better than this as well if he's only 23, but he's a brilliant number 10 for us. Look at the passing and the technique. He's our main man in at number 10. Gu is a fantastic midfielder in behind. Our 3 midfielders, by the way, Hudson, Rojas and Gu, fantastic. Our right winger, Davies, great season from him, 16 goals, look. Fantastic. Our left winger, developing very nicely, still wanted by Arsenal, but also Liverpool and Chelsea now. Brilliant left winger, who's only 18 years old. And then really, striker is where we could maybe improve things, although I'm continuing to stick with Leandro Drummond, because I think we could either buy a replacement for him and improve, or we stick with him until he's ready. He's only 17 years old, and he's now got, what, 29 goals in 58 games for us. Now, I know a lot of those are in the state championship, but I just think if we stick with him, we will get an elite striker one day. We just need to get him to that point. And then in the meantime, we've got Wellington Maciel, who's scoring a lot of goals for us. We've got Thiago Azaf, if we need him, who scored some goals for us. Like, we've got options, but I do think not having that quality striker who plays every single game, it may be holding us back a little bit, but I'm just hoping that it all works out for us in the long run by giving this much game time to a player with this much potential. That's the plan. There's the stats of the players. It's time now to try and turn around this deficit against Nacional and try and win that Copa Libertadores, try and get to the final, because if we do get there, I'll obviously be back for some live comms. If we don't, I'll be back at the end of the season to let you know how our third season here has gone. Let's go. Well. Look, we did turn it around. I don't really know where this performance came from. This is the result in the second leg of that game against Nacional of Uruguay. We beat them 5-1. They were so dominant against us in the first leg. Second leg, a hat trick from Ryan Davis on the right hand side. Let's show you the goals. Why not? We need to enjoy these moments. We turned it around and qualified ourselves for the quarterfinal of the Copa Libertadores. It was Carlos Gabriel with another fantastic finish. This is why I like him so much. This is why I play him despite him only being 18 years old. He's got such a sweet finish on him. He scores so many goals just like that one. Then we pick it up high up the pitch. Look, Davis into Azaf, playing Azaf over Drummond in this game. I think Drummond had a slight injury, but playing the more experienced striker did kind of pay off here. Like I said, having that out and out proper striker that is fully developed might just be the game changer for us. There's the first goal from Davis. He then went on to score a hat trick, and then this was his second goal. Cross into the back post, he heads in. That made it 4-0 on the night. I think they then get themselves a goal back here, which we don't really need to worry about too much. Just a good little finish there at the back post, and then Ryan Davis goes and finishes off his hat trick. Again, it comes from the breakdown of a corner. In fact, it's just a near post header from him. He's actually 6'2", I think, so he is a bit of a threat from corners himself there. Heads it in, hat trick for him. That saw us through in the Copa Libertadores, and surely now you're thinking, we're on the run, we're going to go and win it. No, we went out in the next round. We had Colo Colo of Chile in the next round. We drew with them 2-2 in the first leg, and then drew 5-5 in the second leg. A silly, ridiculous game of football, and then lost on penalties. We went 1-0 up, 2-0 up. Then we were 3-2 down. Then we were 3-3. Then it was 4-3 to them. Then it was 4-4. Then we were 5-4 up. Heading into added time, they scored this goal on 90+5 to take it to penalties. And of course, then we lost on penalties. Goo missed our penalty in the shootout. The vital one. I think they scored all 5 of their pens as well. This, look, in the 95th minute to break our hearts. It's not great defending, but yeah, just a silly one. I mean, that's the end of our journey for another year, but it was quite the adventure. I tell you what, it's really good fun, especially going to play teams like playing a Uruguayan team in Nacional, playing this Chilean team, Colo Colo, who have one of the best badges in world football, of course. I'm already looking forward to next year, where I can now confirm we will be back in the Copa Libertadores again. It's not been an amazing season. We finished 6th, which is just in those qualification spots, literally, look, by goal difference over our rivals Bahia, which are actually really good rivals. There's a proper rivalry going on there. We just pipped them on goal difference on the final day. We beat Sierra 1-0, whereas they actually won 5-2, but it wasn't enough to overtake us. We actually had a few results go our way. Look, we actually had a few results go our way here. Fortaleza lost to Bahia. Otherwise, they would actually be above us, I think. And I think it was also Corinthians losing to Gremio made a difference, because had they won, they would have also been right up there. Although actually we've got a better goal difference than them, so we probably would have just snuck ahead of them. But a tight finish at the end. Here are the player stats for this season. This is a team now that I really think might be ready to kick on. I think I'm going to try and go quite big in the transfer window for just like 1 or 2 players. Not like a big complete rebuild, but 1 or 2 players takes this team to the next level, I think. These are the stats of the players, and I genuinely think these players now are right on the cusp of something special. There are really good players throughout. The goalkeeper is massively developing. I am quite comfortable starting him in every single game. After, by the way, I don't think I actually ever showed you, our goalkeeper did in the end leave in Davi Barbosa. He went on a free because of that weird release clause. I also lost Benjamin, who's a real hot prospect actually on the right-hand side for us. But his release clause was only 2.9 million because he was so young. He ended up going to Flamengo, and now he looks like he's got a massive value for them. So that's a bit of a loss, but it is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. But these players are really ready to take that next jump. The ages of them, look, are now, if you go through 19, 21, 22, 20, 21, 21, 22, 24, the old man of the team is now Hudson, the big man. I think, is he our captain? I think he might be. No, Alex is our captain because he's been here since birth. But Hudson's our key player, look. We have got then a 19-year-old, a 23-year-old who could even become an 18-year-old in Drummond if Drummond takes that next step. He's getting there, look. There's real development on him. He's actually wanted. Who wants it? Porto and Benfica are both looking at him. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Especially as Surprise Shirt sent me that Porto shirt. Maybe we should try and engineer him going to Porto once we get this one. And then that can be our next team. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about that too much. But looking at the general ages of the team, there's only a couple of players over than that. Mateus França, who I brought back. I don't think I ever showed you. He was available for 1 million. So I've brought Mateus França back for the second half of this season. I know he's not youth, but I like the storyline of him coming back from Guangzhou. He's had a weird career since we brought him to Guangzhou in China. We bought him for 19 million. He then has had loans at Internacional, Gremio twice. He's been on loan at Flamengo once. He's been on loan at Brentford in the Premier League. He then had 2 loans at Palace, which I quite like the idea that they wanted to bring him back. And then now we've brought him to Vitoria to join him back up. He's had a lot of clubs in not that many seasons, look, because of those loans. I just thought it was a fun one. So I brought him back for £1 million. He's probably not going to be here long. His contract expires next year, but he was quite useful for us. Played 13 games, scored 3 goals, did okay. I just thought that was a fun one. But going back to that average age of the team, look, Okechegwu's a bit older, but other than that, Azaf is a bit older at 29. Other than that, this is a really young team that is reaching their potential. If you even just going by the stars here, they are reaching their potential. I'd love to show you in detail every player and how good they're becoming, because the development is huge because of how many games they're playing. Wilson, look, what a player he's becoming. The left back, Tyler Edgar, is a great way to show you how good these players are becoming. He's now got caps for Canada, by the way, which is long overdue. Ryan Davies, 22 now. What a player. He'd get into a lot of teams. He's actually 6'4". I thought he was 6'2". Maybe he's grown, or I just read it wrong before. That's why he's scoring headers from corners, though. What a player. He's now got US caps as well. 3 caps and 2 goals in that time. Carlos Gabriel, amazing. Now listed as a wonder kid as well. Fantastic development. Marcos Antonio playing him in a lot of games is getting much better. Every day getting better. We've also had some youth intakes as well, which I've not really shown you because none of the players were great. We did get Vinicius come through, though, who I've brought into the first team, who looks like he could be useful too. He's going to be one of our right wing options. He's basically the only player worth really mentioning over those youth intakes, but of course I'm keeping an eye on them and signing any good players from them. That's the end of season number 3, though. I'm going to go and do that transfer business now for season number 4. I think there's a chance we could do it next year. These players a year older, a year more development. I think we can really kick on, maybe with 1 or 2 really important additions. That's what I'm going to go and aim for. I'll see you after some transfer business. Okay, so remember how I said that we just needed 1 or 2 signings and then we'd be able to challenge? Well, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, don't they? We've had a few spanners in the works. The big one being, we've had a few of our players leave. Now, it wasn't actually something I was banking on, although it's maybe something I should have expected. We had quite a lot of interest in a lot of our players. Eventually, we received a bid of £18 million for Bashir Azodo, our weird centre-back, left winger that we had, and that was enough for him to then go to Al Fazali in Saudi Arabia. I mean, we've got a massive profit on him over the time he's been here, and I didn't really know where he fit in. I didn't think he was going to be our left back because of Tyler Edgar, and I didn't think he was going to be our left winger because of Carlos Gabriel, and I definitely didn't really see him as a centre-back, even though looking at it, he definitely could play there. I just didn't feel like his media description is winger. I can't play a winger at centre back. It was one of those things. So he's gone for quite a lot of money, which I suppose is a good thing. We take the positives with that. We've also lost Patrick Goldan. Didn't play a load of games and his physicals didn't really develop. And I think that's actually just because he didn't play a load of games. I think he could have been a really good footballer. He only started 8 games last year, only started 9 the year before that, 8 the year before that. I think if he played more, we'd probably have seen more of him. But he's gone to Mexico for £3 million. So we've actually made a profit on him in terms of transfer fee, at least. Anyway, those were the 2 that left before the window ticked over. And you're probably thinking that was what I'm talking about in terms of players leaving. That wasn't it. If I go over to here now, I've also sold players for £29.5 million. The big one being Ryan Davies has gone for 22 million, rising to £28 million. It was a bid that I couldn't really say no to, even though I think he's worth probably a bit more. It was an informed decision. It actually wasn't his release clause or anything like that. I just felt like Al Faisley as well, by the way, same team that has just bought 2 of our players. If you go to their transfer history, they've well and truly raided us here. Look, with Ryan Davis and Bashir Azodo coming in. It was a decision I made based on a couple of things. One, that he's not Brazilian. One, that he's 22 now, so I don't know how much better. I mean, he will probably still get better, but how much better? The final thing being, though, that he's not really a winger, is he? If we actually look at his attributes, he's definitely a striker, and I just didn't really want to play him as that striker because of Leandro Drummond. So I've made the decision to take the money, and we'll go from there. I definitely did need to reinvest that money in the squad, though, because we did need a right winger, which is something that we'll come on to in a second. But I also did lose a couple of other players. If I go to this list here, Yusuf Okachukwu did go to Vasco for £4.8 million. He was a bit too old for my youth ethos anyway. He had that big injury which held him back, and then we signed Wilson to replace him in the same transfer window, and Wilson is just a lot better and is also Brazilian. So he's gone to Vasco. And then finally, Gustavo Sanchez did want to leave because of lack of game time. He has gone for a slight profit, £1.7 million in, played 23 games, left for £2.5 million. So I did need to bring in another backup centre-back for him, which is something I've also done. We go over then to the transfers in. These are the replacements made. I don't think there's anyone before the tick over. No, the final signing on here was Mateus França, who is still here, by the way. I have brought in 4 players, not for very much money, but the window is still very much open. We have got 16 million that we can still go and spend. So I probably will look to try and bring in some players, but there's not loads that are jumping out at me at the moment because our team is so strong, because they have developed so much, basically. I've brought in Jolson. Remember him? I said that I was going to be looking at him. He is going to be our backup right back. Signed him from Chicago Fire. Another one, I definitely didn't bring him to Chicago Fire, so it's actually just a bit of a coincidence at this stage, but I brought him in as our backup right back. He's only 3 million, but looks quite good to me. I've also brought in a central midfielder called Humberto Tarico. He's going to replace Goldan in our team, and he's a lot better. He's a wonder kid, Argentinian central midfielder. Could play as number 10. We're probably going to play him as a Metzala in here, I think, in this type of role. It's actually 6'3", though, which is quite fun. Great passing, great technique. He won't be a starter, but doesn't need to be a starter, and he's happy to be a squad player, even though he's very, very good. So when we need him, when we will use him, I'm sure. I've also then brought in Paulo Roberto, be our new backup goalkeeper. We didn't really have one since the exit of Barbosa and since making Moises our number 1 goalkeeper. So I've just brought this guy in who, he was the best young Brazilian with the most potential that I could find. I don't think he's going to be too special, but he'll be a decent backup for us. Finally then, the player that I left till the end is going to be our Ryan Davies replacement on the right wing. It's Raimundo Nonato. There wasn't really any young right wingers that really fit the bill perfectly. So I'm going to make do with Nonato, who has got fantastic dribbling, great technique, doesn't quite have the pace that I'd want him to have on the right-hand side. That's why he's probably more suited to be a number 10, but we're going to use him as our right winger because I think that's probably where he's going to fit best for us. The team looks like this. As I mentioned, they've definitely kicked on. They are all improving just so much. If I just scroll through players sort of generally, they're all becoming really good footballers. Luis Claudio, look, what a player he is. He's actually wanted by Arsenal at the moment. Wellington Maciel's even got better. Antonio, France's a good player anyway. Moises getting better every year. I think he's got under 20 caps now, Moises, our goalkeeper. There's Roberto brought in. Nenato's new. Ribeiro got himself under 20 caps too. He's wanted. Wow, that's new. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, Porto, and then a couple of other teams on the end of there. He's one of our backup centre-backs, 19 years old, Pacheco Ribeiro. We saw him give that goal away earlier on, didn't we? Ever Rojas, great footballer. Actually unhappy because he wants a new deal. I might give him that new deal, but he wants quite a lot of money. We'll sort that out. Azaf still around at 30. Tarico, Vinicius. There's Wilson. Alex. I'm doing this because I feel like I really want to show to you how much better the players are getting at. And it's really difficult to show you. Like, even if I go to things like development and progress here, it's quite finicky to try and get through to everything to show you all of that progress. But I mean, let's use Carlos Gabriel as an example here. You just see the amount of attribute improvements on him. I mean, I could go through other players like this. Diabate as well in midfield. But even then, It reverts back to last month rather than all time, so you don't get to see the numbers. There's Drummond's, though. He's one you definitely want to see. He's going to be really good. He's not quite there yet, is he? 16 finishing is great. 15 acceleration, 13 pace. If that becomes 16-15, then I think we've got a serious footballer. I mean, he's not far off it right now at the age of 18. Can't believe he's not got youth caps yet, though. He's wanted still by Benfica now. It was Porto and Benfica before. But he's well and truly our first choice striker nowadays. He's got a lovely relationship with Hudson here, look. That's the team. It is very settled despite the outgoings. Just one or two coming in. I will look at replacements, I think, for those. But right now, I'm going to go and get ourselves into this. I've not actually finished the Bahia State Championship as I bring you this update. I'll go and finish that. Hopefully get ourselves qualified for the Copa Libertadores as well from there. I'll probably be back at maybe the halfway point of this 4th season. Hopefully, still in all competitions. Hopefully, this is the year that we can go on to win things. I genuinely actually think that we can. I'll see you for an update soon. All right, then. This is that halfway point of our 4th season here at Vitória in Brazil. And as I was hoping, they have kicked on. In the league, we are smashing it. We are top of the league after 20 games. We have won 17 of our first 20 games in Serie A. We also, in the Bahia State Championship, if I go up here, we won the final 5-3 on aggregate after 2 legs against, of course, Bahia, after finishing as champions there, as winning the league section as well, winning all 9 of our games. It included a 14-0 win against UNIRB. It has been a little bit of a procession this year. It feels like everything is clicking. The players that we invested our time and energy into all those years ago, we're harvesting the fruits of our labour, if you like. Players like Leandro Drummond has got 32 goals in 36 games. I talked about wanting it to go to 16-15 for his pace and acceleration. It's gone 16-13, but he's got 16 finishing, 16 dribbling. This is now a player that I would happily go and sign, and he's now also got lots of room to grow as well because he's got 87 league games under his belt at the age of 18. He's got now caps for the under-20s of Brazil as well. I was wondering why he hadn't had caps for them before. He's now being recognised on that type of level. He's actually no longer wanted by Benfica and Porto as well. He's a serious footballer, and the rest of the players are sort of following suit as well. Carlos Gabriel, look at what a player he's become now at this age of 19. Look at Gu in our defensive midfield spot. What a player he's become. Still can't tackle, but he doesn't need to because he just makes things happen. He keeps things ticking in there. He's got his mate Hudson in front of him. Hudson, who's now wanted by Flamengo and Dortmund in Europe. He does want to move to a club with a stronger squad. But guess what, Hudson? Not until we win this Champions League. That is the rule, I think. I'm sorry to say. He is just phenomenal. The team is phenomenal. I feel like I could just talk about all of them and wax lyrical about them all because we've developed and the long way, we've gone the long way around, but we've developed a truly special team here that I actually think can go and win this using this weird system that we've used since the start as well. In the end, even though we lost a few players and had money left to burn, I only in the end brought in a couple of players. It was centre back that we were lacking players in because of Gustavo Sanchez leaving. So I decided to bring in a lone player in Matias Correa, who's a 6'6" Argentinian who is not going to be a starter for us, but will just be useful. He's played 21 games, I suppose. So not very handy. And then after signing him on loan, I noticed by going to my shortlist of save heroes and just having a look at some of the players on here, players like Malambo's on there, Giovanni's on there. We've got Pinto, Kone, Wesley. I could add more to this. I'm sure I will do it sometime. Where is Chukwuemeka Matthew? He doesn't seem to be on my list anymore, although he definitely was at one point. He seems to have come off my list. He actually did move, by the way, for an update on him. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. He went a while ago, which is a real shame because he's going to be difficult to bring back now. He's 28 on £87,000 per week. Are we going to miss his career by the time that we get to Europe? Or will there be a chance to bring Chukwuemeka Matthew to whichever team we end up? Maybe his value will come down a bit. I'd love to, by the way. I'd love to. What I noticed, though, as I was browsing this and making this list, is that when I selected players that are interested in joining us, which at the moment are these players, Giovanni is interested, but it's very expensive. Marcus Leonardo we're probably not going to bring back. He's now 34. Tiombane could come back. I imagine he's on big wages. 50k a week. It's not too bad. Wesley also wants to come back, but he's 32. Come back. When I say come back, I mean back to Brazil for him. He would also come to us, I should say. But when I was doing this, I noticed that this man here was interested in joining, and was on a free transfer. Mohamed Boudiaf, if you recall, was a centre-back for us at Chicago Fire. He was excellent for us, sensational. Not the tallest, not the quickest or anything, but just really, really good on the ball. He's got great marking, great positioning, great vision, good technique. He's a very technical centre-back, and he was on a free transfer because he'd been waiver draft by LAFC after they signed him and then didn't play him. I assume they couldn't register him or something, which is something that does happen in the MLS when the AI get involved, is something I've found, that they just struggle with all of the rules that are in place and players just end up going on a free, which I think is what happens here. And we've managed to sign him and pick him up on a free. Look at his value, and he's still only 22. So we've brought him in and he's played 17 games for us. He's been a really useful player to come in and play alongside Luis Claudio, and a bit of a rotation for Alex. I mean, I could swap out so many of these players and the quality doesn't really go down. Pacheco Ribeiro, also brilliant look in there. Honestly, at this stage, our squad, this squad, it feels completely stacked full of talent. On the season preview, we are up to 5th. So apparently, somehow, we're still not as good as these teams, but I think we absolutely are. In the Dream 11, we've got now Hudson, Luis Claudio gets in there. I think that's actually it, though. Those are the 2 players that get onto our list here. But it looks like we're going to win the league this year, and I really think we can go on and win the Copa Libertadores as well, because we are through to the quarter-final. We have beaten Vélez over 2 legs. We beat them 3-1 away, 4-1 at home. Goals from Drummond, Jolson, Antonio and Wilson in that game there, look. We have drawn Rosario Central, another Argentinian team, predicted to finish 3rd in their league. So they won't be slouches, but I'm pretty confident we can beat them. If I go to the rest of the teams left in here, Sao Paulo play River Plate, so one of those 2 is going to get knocked out. Flamengo play Racing Club or Colo Colo, who knocked us out last year. That'll be tough either way. I think we can get through here. And then Boca Juniors play Palmeiras or Nacional. Now, Nacional we just got past last year. If Palmeiras go through that, that's one of those 2 knocked out as well. I think the draws kind of come in together quite nicely for us as well. I think we've got a genuine chance of winning this. We've got a genuine chance of doing the double, winning the league, or it's actually the treble, because the Bahia State Championship, the Serie A, and then maybe just the Copa Libertadores as well. I'm going to go and get to the end of this season. I might be back for a live com, because this could be the year. It wasn't the year. We have lost here on a penalty shootout to Sao Paulo in the semi-final. After Esteval just missed that first penalty, we then scored we scored the next one from Wellington Maciel. They scored this one from Savio, which, by the way, is the actual Savinho of Manchester City. Then they equalised, look, with this goal here, 1-1. And then it starts to go a little bit wrong for us in this penalty shootout. Hudson, our star man, the main man in our team, left-footed look, hits it straight at the keeper who taps it over. We then score. They score all of theirs. Eventually, Jolson steps up for us and does this. Blast it. Doesn't even break stride on his massive run-up and the keeper catches it. And that was it. We were out. I'm actually so upset. We've lost in the semi-final to Sao Paulo. This might have been our best chance to win this. It would have been Palmeiras in the final as well. And Palmeiras, they have won the league last year, but we're better than these teams. If you look at this league table, we're better than these teams because we are the champions this year. It's a great season. Semi-final of the Copa Libertadores and winning the league for the first time in our history. But it's a little bit heartbreaking that we got all the way to the semi-finals and then lost on penalties. It was 1-1 in the first leg in that Sao Paulo game, look, and then 1-1 in the second leg. I mean, they probably deserved it. They had more shots, bigger XG, etc. But it definitely hurts. It definitely feels like that could have been the moment. I'm delighted with the league season, by the way. Let me show you this team and how well it's done this year with some of these stats of these players. Great goal scoring seasons from Carlos Gabriel on the left-hand side, 14 goals. Look at that, 35 goals. Now, I know it includes the state championship, of course, but 35 goals for Leandro Drummond, 33 for Hudson. This team, it's so close to being perfect. It's so close to being able to go and win that Copa Libertadores. I'm so sure of it. Maybe it just needs 1 or 2 big signings. Maybe even just one big signing somewhere to maybe just take that level of quality up just that little bit. I don't even know where that would be. Maybe in midfield over Ever Rojas. Maybe, I don't even think it is another centre-back because Luis Claudio and Boudiaf are both brilliant. And then Alex is a great replacement there. I don't even know. Maybe it's a striker. Maybe Drummond. I know that he's going to be amazing. He's now actually listed as a wonder kid, but maybe you could get the final product in now. I'm not sure. We've got 15 million to go and spend. I'm going to go and see what's out there. But even if we don't make that one big signing, maybe this team with another year of experience can go that one step further, go and get themselves to that final. I feel like we're close. Let's go and see what we can do in the transfer window. Right, so of course I can't just have a normal, easy window where I just buy one decent player and keep everyone together. Of course not, because this is Football Manager. Now, instead of that happening, I've actually spent £37 million and sold players for £31.5 million. The big one being, I've sold already Mohamed Boudiaf, who we only signed last year on a free transfer, has gone to Flamengo, our Brazilian rivals, for £31 million. It was an offer that I couldn't refuse. It's too much money. It's more money than I think he's actually worth to us, especially when you consider he doesn't have great physicals. Fantastic footballer. Definitely made us better last season, but for 31 million, it's just silly money, isn't it? So he's now gone. It gave us real money to go and spend on top of our actual transfer budget. So I've gone and spent it. I had to spend quite big. Now I've spent big really, mainly out of necessity here. I didn't want to, but after scouting for centre-backs, the best one that I could come up with as a replacement for Boudiaf was actually one of the Flamengo centre-backs. Adam Ilson was right there playing for their team, who I think is at least as good as. I mean, he's got better physicals and is only 19, so should get a little bit better. Even over the course of just a season, you'd expect that. He's a wonder kid with great tackling, doesn't have as good techniques, so he's a different defender for sure, but he was right there. He's cost me 20 million. It's actually the most money I've spent on a player in this entire Pentagon save. He is the new record holder. He's not the best player we've signed, I would probably say, but out of necessity of needing a centre-back to replace Boudiaf, he was the best one that I could find, basically. So he's come in, and then I've also managed, this is it feels like a lovely moment. I've also managed to sign Giovanni, the man who scored all of those goals, 67 goals in 79 games for Mamelodi Sundowns during our South African stint. He is now back with us, back in Brazil. I mean, he was in Brazil before, he's at Fluminense, but we've signed him. I've been looking at him since being here, but his value was always too high. It came down because he wanted to leave. It came all the way down to £6.5 million. So I've decided to pull the plug, bring him in. He's already been playing a lot of games in the Bahia State Championship. He's scored 15 and 13 already and made a good start. It's delightful to have him home, honestly. So welcome back to Team Clayts, Giovanni. And the final signing that I want to show you as well, I mean, there are a couple of others come in. Paulo Marcus came in as a loanee just to give us another option on the left wing. I felt like we were a little bit short. We've just got Carlos Gabriel really out there. So he's going to come in and be an option for us on a loan. I've signed Felipe on a free transfer. He was actually one of our youth intake players that I forgot to sign because I left it too late. So he became a free agent, but then I immediately signed him anyway. So he's only ever played for us, but technically I signed him on a free transfer. And then finally, the big one for this summer, the one that I think actually might take us up that level a little bit, somebody who actually might add extra quality, is Hugo Espinosa. Now, I nearly signed him a few years ago, actually, but he was just a little bit pricey and I wasn't quite sure about some of his attributes. He's definitely made up for them now, though. He is a proper out-and-out winger who is an Argentinian international who is fantastic. He's got great pace and acceleration, amazing agility, great dribbling. He's just a perfect, proper winger. He's more of a winger than Nonato, who we were playing on that right-hand side. For £8.5 million from Boca Juniors, I think he is a player that will make us better. He will play on this right-hand side here, who's just more of an out-and-out winger than Nonato. Nonato will play a lot of games for us, I am sure, and can also cover in the middle and even up front if we need him to as well. But he will now drop to the bench because Espinosa comes in and the team will look like this. It's going to be Moises in goal. He has really kicked on. He's a really solid, good goalkeeper. I feel like I've said that a lot in this video, but I want to keep showing you the development because that's sort of part of it. If you're going to develop players, you want to see what they become, how their attributes look like at the end, don't you? Wilson, Luis Claudio, who we had to hold on to, was very chased by a lot of teams from around the world. I actually accepted a load of bids for him, not by choice, but because his foreign club's minimum fee is 17.25 million. I had no choice. He rejected their contract and stays here again for this year. It could be vital because he is So blooming good. 6'2". Still actually listed as a wonder kid. He's 20 years old. He's a Brazil under 20 international. I'm hoping we keep hold of him. Alex will play alongside him or Adamilson, either or. I just need to register those two, but I can do that right now. Look. And then Tyler Edgar at left back, Gu at defensive midfield, or Diabate. Both are brilliant. I've been playing Gu actually as the Metzala a lot as well. He can definitely play a little bit further forward. With his attributes and his lack of defending, lack of tackling, he can definitely play a bit further forward. So I've been doing this combination quite a lot. Espinosa on the right, Hudson in the middle, and Gabriel on the left. And then Drummond as our striker up front. Has been injured for a bit of this Bahia State Championship. Missed 4 weeks, which is annoying because that's when he plays and scores a load of goals. But on this occasion, it does mean that Giovanni was able to come in and score a lot of goals too. I don't know who our starter's going to be. It depends really who scores more goals out of the two of them. I'm leaning towards Drummond just because of the storyline. But now that we have Giovanni, quite useful. Giovanni can actually play on the right-hand side as well if we need him to. But I don't think it's his best position by any stretch. That's the team though. That's the update. Even with a couple of big outgoings, Budiaf being the main one. Oh, also I didn't show you, Wellington Maciel also has left. He went for £9.25 million. It was his release clause. He's gone to Minnesota. He's going to go play in the MLS, which is quite fun. He's been there before, of course, when we brought him to Chicago Fire. He was a great asset for us. Scored a lot of goals, but was never really a starting player. So for 9 million, I'm okay with that. It also leads into this where we're going to leave the club in a much better state than we found it in. Hopefully now with a Copa Libertadores to top things off. This season, it feels like it's possible. We have again won the Bahia State Championship. We beat Bahia in the finals. It was 4-2 on aggregate this time after winning the league table, winning 8 of our games. We did draw to them 0-0, but then we won every other game. So we did win the league phase, then did win the playoff as well. We've gone through and done well so far. We haven't lost a game yet. So we've gone through in every cup competition. We've made a good start in the Copa Libertadores as well. We've actually got a tough group. This time in Group G, we've got Gremio, Boca Juniors, and Medellin from Colombia. So it's quite tricky, although we have won 5 out of 5, and with 1 game to go, we are already qualified top in that one. So I say it's tricky. We're a good football team now. It's not that tricky for us. We will find out who we're going to play in the second round soon, but I'm going to go and play a load more games and be back with an update at about the halfway point. All right, welcome to that halfway point where we are once again top of the Serie A here in Brazil. However, under a little bit of pressure, Palmeiras have 3 games in hand over us and are only 7 points behind us. So they could actually go back above us. It's much closer this year. We're only 2 points clear of Flamengo, although we've played 2 games less than them. There's always such a weird spread of how many games played in this league. I mean, look down to Corinthians. They've only played 15. I guess it's to do with which cups you're in and things like that. But 15 games played for them compared to 23. But Atletico Mineiro there is just a wild swing of different amount of points. It's difficult to work out actually where you stand in the league. For now, though, we are top of the league. We're going very well. However, slight bump in the road, potential bump in the road comes after qualifying for the next round of the Copa Libertadores. We were drawn against San Lorenzo of Argentina. We have just lost the first leg 4-2. This was the team for that game there. We played Nonato up front. It didn't really work. We actually scored a 91st goal through Rojas to put us back within touching distance, because otherwise it could have been 4-1, and that would have been a definite curtains for this Champions League, this Copa Libertadores run. As it stands, we now need to go and play them at home and beat them by 2 or more goals to go through. I'm relatively confident we can, but if anything goes wrong, this will be another exit out of the Copa Libertadores again, which would be slightly frustrating because I think we're definitely good enough to go and at least get to the final and try and win it this year. That's kind of how I feel about the team right now. We should be properly challenging to win the competition after reaching the final last year and losing on penalties, of course. I'm going to go and play those games now. I'll give you a quick update on how the team is performing. This is how it looks. We've got mainly Giovanni being our main goal scorer, main striker, although Drummond has had a few injuries. He's still unfit here. Look, he's had a lot of different injuries. He keeps coming back and getting injured again for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, another 3 weeks. Really frustrating that I can't give him a run of games. He is kind of fit now, so maybe could play. He's got 6 in 10. But this is kind of the team. Espinosa has been a revelation, although he is currently injured and is going to miss this game. 20 goals in 33 games from him. He is so blooming good. But the team is functioning well. We are ready for this. I'm going to go and play this game now. If we get through, I will see you probably for the end of the season, hopefully for the run-in of the Champions League, maybe the semi-finals if we get there, maybe the final, maybe for some live comms. I'm well aware that we can win it this year, but we might actually just be out. And if we go out, I guess I'll see you at the end of the season for an update on kind of what happened, maybe a debrief on what went wrong. I'm going to go and play some very important games now, and I'll be back. Okay, I am back, and we are watching in the second leg here against San Lorenzo. Taricho putting his penalty away before they then went and missed through Parisi. We did go through against San Lorenzo. It was a 2-0 win in the second leg. We deserved it. This is the team that played. Drummond missed a penalty in the game. Taricho scored our first goal. Paulo Marcos coming on, the low-knee left winger, if you remember, came on to score our second. It took the game to penalties, and exercising some of those demons from last season, we were able to win the game on penalties this time. It took us through to the quarterfinal of the Copa Libertadores, and let me show you how the rest of that competition has gone. Next up, we had Flamengo, our league rivals Flamengo. We beat them 6-1 in the first leg. They were cast aside by us. We absolutely destroyed them. Look, I'll show you the stats of this game. We took all of our chances. Giovanni scored one. He scored another one. Then Hudson, then Carlos Gabriel, and then Pacheco Ribeiro right at the end. 6-1 on aggregate after the first leg. It was then a procession. We won the second leg 3-1. That took us through to the semi-finals of the Copa Libertadores, and I have played the first leg so far. We have played against Sao Paulo, the team that we lost to on penalties last year, if you remember, and we beat them 4-3. I'll show you the goals in this one, because this one is when Leandro Drummond really came to the party. He's had a bit of a lacking season. It's not been his year, but he scored the opener from the spot after just 6 minutes. Well, after just 5 minutes there. He then scores another one after 24 minutes. A lovely finish into the far corner. We were then 2-0 up. They then get a goal back. And by the way, we were down to 10 men. Carlos Gabriel had got himself sent off on 17 minutes, look. And with them then getting a goal back, I was starting to panic, but it didn't matter, because eventually Carlos Gabriel completes his hat-trick. In the end, this game finishes up at 4-3. I'm not even sure we've seen all of the goals there. They get 2 late goals towards the end to make it really, really cagey, to make it a proper game. Because of that 10 men, we kind of ran out of steam. We gave it everything in this game. Look at that high line. Esteval gets in behind. He makes it, 4-2 with that goal. And then 4-3 is the final score with this goal here, look, which is finished off. We don't need to see their final goal. Finished off by Topchu after 90 minutes. A ridiculous game of football, but it gives us the edge heading in to the second leg. I'm going to go and play the second leg now. And I'm hoping, with it being the home leg, we should be able to get ourselves through to the final. Then, if we get through, we will do both final legs as live com games. How does that sound? I wanted to give you the full picture before I played this second leg, in case I go out, basically, and you can understand what happened. For full clarity of the season, we are also leading the league with 6 games to go. We've got a 5-point lead. We should get our second successive league title here as well, all going well. I'm going to go play the second leg now. I will see you. What I'm really, really hoping is the first leg of the Copa Libertadores final, where we will play a Brazilian rival in Grêmio or Fortaleza. We are significantly better than both of those teams. They are 7th and 9th in the league, respectively. I'm not sure we'll ever get a better chance to win this. This has to happen. I'll see you in a minute. Okay then, this has to be the moment. We have got Fortaleza in the Copa Libertadores final. We are in the final, and the fact it's against Fortaleza surely means we've got the best chance of going through here. The second leg of the Sao Paulo game was a 1-1 draw, so we've gone through 5-4 on aggregate. It wasn't ever really in doubt. A home game against them. We did only manage to draw, but I felt pretty confident throughout there. Fortaleza beat Grêmio by 3-1 on aggregate. Fortaleza, by the way, are going to finish in 7th place in the league. We've finished on 90 points. We've won the league again for our second Serie A title in a row here in Brazil. We got 90 points. They only got 61. Surely we are big favourites for this. I actually have to update you on a couple of other things. Before we pick this team and get into this live com, I also need to let you know that I've sold, in what is the mid-season transfer window, I've sold a whole load of players, because not really through choice either. Luis Claudio, probably our best centre-back, has gone to Arsenal. They've been circling around him for years. His release clause, he wouldn't sign a new contract. I couldn't get rid of this release clause. So he's gone to them for £17.25 million. And he's now going to be, he's just going to be brilliant for them, isn't he? Is he playing? Yeah, he's already played 8 games for them as well. So fair enough. He went. I've not been able to replace him. I had a look and I was like, there's no one really that I think we need to. I think we've got Alex, who's already a good backup, so I'm just going to stick with him. I also sold a youngster in Santiago Costa Silva. I also sold for 24 million, rising to 27.5 million, Humberto Torricho. The Argentinian midfielder, he's gone to Spurs. So he didn't actually play that many games for us. He wasn't ever a starter, but 24 million. Massive, massive profit on him. He's gone. And then finally, this one I am actually a bit upset about, but I'm sure you can agree with me. I couldn't say no. To £47 million, rising to £60 million for Bougari Diabate, who's gone to Manchester United. I told you, these players, they had good potential, and we played them so often that they've become really, really elite level players. Players that teams like Manchester United are willing to sign. Again, he wasn't actually a starter for us. Maybe he should have been. There is an argument for that because he's the best defensive-minded midfielder that we had. But I really like playing Gu in there. Even though he can't defend, his tackling's up to 10 now. I think his overall quality on the ball is just so cool to have in that team. And he's Brazilian, which is maybe why I was leaning towards him a little bit. But Diabate wasn't a starter. That's why I said yes. There were some bids. And I mean, look how many of our players are now wanted. It's basically everybody. Moises also wants a new contract, which I could actually give him, couldn't I, before? I won't because the final is today and it might just be mucky. But all of our players are wanted. I did have some interest in some of the starters, but I did say no to those ones. And they weren't quite as ridiculous in terms of amount of money. This is going to be the team, though, that plays Fortaleza in the Copa Libertadores final. Moises, the goalkeeper that we have nurtured into the goalkeeper that he is today, is going to start in goal. We're going to have Wilson and Edgar as our fullbacks, the Trent and Robertson combination that we've had for so many years now. How many have they played? How many games have they played, I should say? 166 games for Wilson. Edgar has played 136. So cool to see them still here and playing. We're going to go with Adamilson and Alex as our centre-backs. Luis Claudio will definitely be a miss in there, that is for sure, but these two are both pretty good. Gu starts in the number 6 spot, Ever Rojas in the Metzala in the midfield, with Hudson ahead of him, Espinoza on the right, Gabriel on the left, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my trust in Leandro Drummond to lead our line. This is where he's got to. He's a fantastic striker. The backup, of course, is Giovanni, who has scored a lot of goals for us too. We've got Nanato who can come on. We've got a lot of good backup players if we need them. But this is the team. This is where we now go and hopefully finish the job that we started. Is it 5 seasons? Is this our 5th season or 6th season? I'm not even sure. We've been here a while and we've invested a lot of time into these players. They're going to play a 3 at the back tactic. That's very interesting. All new gen players, of course. Here we come. The teams are out. We're underway. Copa Libertadores final. I'm assuming for the first time in Vitoria's history. Definitely the first time we've got here. We have a highlight inside the first 5 minutes towards Adamilson, who scores at the near post. It's just a near post corner. Of course it is. Hudson's corner. Adamilson, our record ever transfer, by the way, breaks the deadlock early. And that is the perfect start in this game. It's so simple. Near post. Headed in. He's not even that big as Adamilson. It's a good header without being an amazing header. We lead 1-0. First shot on target from either team. Beautiful start. I am really hoping, by the way, that this is just going to be a routine victory against a team that we're definitely better than. But Football Manager usually has different ideas, doesn't it? So far, so good there. We're approaching half an hour. This is only the second highlight. Here's Espinoza. He's got that ridiculous mohawk. Drummond just flashes it. Well, it's actually gone for a throw-in the end. He was offside anyway. Not even sure that's necessarily a highlight of this game. Maybe it is for this game, but that's fine because we got the lead. If we want to have low-quality highlights from here and no real chances being made from either team, sort of suits us down to the ground, doesn't it? We're approaching half-time. Still 1-0. Still not a lot happening, which is okay. And that is the half-time whistle. A bit of a low-key affair, a bit cagey. In the end, they've actually had more shots than us, but the onus is on them to come out here and attack, isn't it? Maybe we can catch them on the break a little bit. I don't think we're playing particularly well, but we do have that set-piece goal under our belts. We have that lead to hold on to. I'm not going to make any changes just yet. I will keep an eye on some of these players. Edgar looks a bit tired, look, at left back. We do have some options that we can bring on, but for now, I know that this is our strongest 11. I'm looking at Giovanni to come on maybe. Adam Milson's up to a 7.2. Tyler Edgar's playing quite well. 60 minutes are on the clock here. We've had no more highlights. And this is absolutely okay as far as I'm concerned. Carlos Gabriel on 6.4. Right, 66 on the clock. I'm going to do this just for legs. Tyler Edgar is going to come off for... I actually don't know who the best option is here. I think it might be to put Wilson at left back and bring on Jolson. Rather than go with a centre-back at left-back, which would be Ribeiro, I think I'm going to do it this way around. Also looking at both wingers aren't having their best games. But I think I'm going to bring on Paulo Marcos on the left-hand side as that change there. I am thinking about Giovanni, but I'm going to give Drummond a bit more time. I'm also going to praise them, I think, because we are leading this game. There's 15 to go. It would be so welcome for this to be a rubbish game that we win 1-0. It would be so different to most of the other big games that we have as live comms on this channel, I swear. But I do not mind it at all. It's actually 1-0. There's 9 minutes to go. We've got a 6.3 from Hugo Espinosa. We've got a good sub in Donato. I am going to do Giovanni, I think, because a bit of quality and presence up front. He's 6'6". Ruffle up those defenders, the three of them. What they've done is clearly set up to be hard to beat, and they have been hard to beat. But right now, heading into added time, we are beating them courtesy of a set-piece goal. And that is the final whistle. We've won the Copa Libertadores at our first time of asking, at least in terms of getting to the final. That is a glorious sight to behold. Alex is there, look, the captain, leading the team up. Espinosa with the mohawk there. Which players from here have become save heroes? I'm not even sure. I'd love to sign all of these when we get to Europe. Who are we going to be when we go to Europe? It's now time to decide as Alex lifts the Copa Libertadores for Vitória of Brazil. What a journey this has been. I have loved this. This segment of the Pentagon Challenge it's been a bit of me. It's been transfer focused, but also youth focused. And you've seen real progression of the players. It's been perfect as far as my Football Manager playing goes anyway. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really want to keep hearing from you guys. I know that the videos take a little bit longer in between, but please keep letting me know what you think of these things. And where should we go next when we head to Europe? Should we have a quick little peek now? Because the way that the dates line up, we are in November now, which means that the January window is about to start, which means there might be actually jobs available because the league is going on. I need to have a quick little look at this. Oh, the Sundowns job is available. We could go back to there. Let's have a look at purely, if I go England, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, those are the leagues that I've loaded at the moment. We've got a few insecure jobs. Is the Porto job isn't available. I do have an idea of going there. There's Lille. There's Leicester, Villa. Villa could be fun, couldn't it? I don't know if we want to go to the Premier League. At least not yet. Frankfurt. Espanyol. Who's won the league in Portugal? Is it Porto only third there? Maybe that could become available. It's Martin Anselmi is the manager. Interesting. Something to keep an eye on. Anyway, our manager, here he is now a Champions League winner on 4 different continents. The last leg is Europe. That's where we'll be going next. Thank you so much for watching today. What a journey. Please subscribe to the channel and have a lovely rest of your day. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.